So don't tell me I don't have a claim on Selma, Alabama. Don't tell me I'm not coming home to Selma, Alabama. Several weeks later, Obama appeared at a meeting of Reverend Al Sharpton's National Action Network and again donned the challenger's mask. These aren't issues, civil rights, that are new to me. These aren't issues that I just decided to start talking about as a presidential candidate. They are the issues of my life. Just a few days later, however, at a largely white California Democratic convention, he was the perfect bargainer again. I learned that you can turn the page on old debates. We can assume the best in people instead of the worst. With blacks, he is a protester carrying forward the racist cause. With whites, he is the one people unifier, minimizing the importance of racial difference, even suggesting that blacks are best helped by government policies that are not race-specific. But the point is not that Obama is a hypocrite. Hillary Clinton shamelessly breaks into imitations of the black vernacular that sounds like the squeak of chalk on a blackboard every time she appears before a black audience. The point is that in politics, when the matter of race is in play, and it is always in play with a black candidate, the entire history of black-white relations in America comes forward after centuries of convoluted evolution and makes itself felt in its most recent configuration. So if Obama seems the hypocrite, it is also true that he is only working within the world that he finds, within a configuration of forces much larger than himself. And what makes today's configuration so powerful is that it defines our racial identities. For example, challenging now defines the black American identity, because whites are now contrite over their historic association with white supremacy. Blacks are challengers today because whites have responded to challenging, and whites have responded because they long for the racial innocence that their association with historic racism denies them. This is only the most recent configuration in the long evolution of American race relations, an evolution throughout which neither race could ever fully know itself except in relation to the other. Today, both blacks and whites see Barack Obama's presidential bid as potentially a new signal from history. He makes whites hopeful for a new racial configuration in which they might get more benefit of the doubt. He makes blacks, though primarily the black leadership, anxious at this same prospect. Already, his bright success as a bargainer suggests that white America may be sending a signal of its own, that it is exhausted from 40 years of being challenged and is therefore doubly grateful to blacks who approach with at least some faith in the fundamental decency of whites. And yet, apart from whatever he may portend, Obama is today a bound man who cannot serve the aspirations of one race without betraying those of the other. It is easy to have the impression, given all the excitement that attends him, that he is, as they say, fresh, new, and unconventional. But in many ways his truest problem, the reason he is bound, is exactly that he is so utterly conventional. Barack Obama works entirely within the current configuration of race relations, the masks of bargaining and challenging, the need in whites for racial innocence. And he exploits that world to move himself ahead, not to advance a new configuration of race relations, or to end such configurations altogether. He is neither a revolutionary nor even a reformist. He is simply infatuated with the possibilities of his own skin color within the world as it is, not as it should or could be. His genius is to know his currency within the status quo. What is exceptional about Barack Obama is the same thing that was exceptional about Louis Armstrong. Neither man discovered a new way for society to racially arrange itself. But both men found a way to capture the goodwill of whites in a way that facilitated their lives and careers. If Obama has considerable political talent just as Armstrong had musical genius, both men, in the end, were racial pragmatists. But bargainers who become iconic Negroes always experience a pushback from their own people. As an entertainer, Armstrong could find his way through this, but Obama needs the votes of the people who would push back against him. And to halt this resistance, he has to wear the challenger's mask that whites, his primary supporters, hate. In the end, he is bound by the same racial configuration that he has exploited. Chapter 13. The Visible Man. Can a black ask for power at the level of the American presidency without wearing a mask, without reassuring whites that they will be given the benefit of the doubt, without lessening the anxiety inherent in being white today? Is real power possible for blacks without some negotiation with white innocence? And what would a black who was neither a challenger nor a bargainer look like? Perhaps the most troubling character in the rich gallery of characters in Ralph Ellison's masterpiece, Invisible Man, is Todd Clifton, a tall, articulate, and dark-skinned young man with the sort of special appeal that makes him a natural leader and the envy of the Invisible Man, the novel's young black protagonist. Clifton is a survivor of the ideological warfare between the Brotherhood, the metaphorical communists, and the black nationalists in the Harlem of the 1940s. When the Invisible Man meets Clifton, he has become, by dint of his talent and charisma, an important leader in the Brotherhood. Clifton is far more experienced than the Invisible Man at negotiating the mix of rigid personalities and rigid ideas that compose the Brotherhood. In this largely white world, he is masterly, where the Invisible Man is uncertain and awkward. Then the inexplicable happens. Clifton abruptly quits the Brotherhood and disappears. Then the Invisible Man spots him racially debasing himself by selling black Sambo dolls on the streets of New York. Finally, a few months after leaving the Brotherhood, Clifton is shot and killed by a white policeman under mysterious circumstances. Shocked and numbed by so swift a demise, the Invisible Man suddenly sees Clifton as a cautionary tale. Naively, he tells himself that he is lucky still to be in the Brotherhood, and then he asks himself one of the novel's most profound questions. Why would a man deliberately plunge outside of history? Ellison is working here on the level of allegory, and he uses Clifton's story to represent a dilemma central to the black American experience. In order to be a part of history, to participate in its relentless evolution, the black American has always had to don the mask that would enable him to join the larger white world, where presumably history is being made. Thus, to a degree, inauthenticity has been the price blacks have paid to join history. Clifton did well in the Brotherhood by making himself into someone he wasn't. And finally, this sense of inauthenticity caught up to him. He took off the mask. He dropped out of the Brotherhood, this symbolic communist organization that literally defined its mission as the creation of a new history for man. Thus, the price for acting in the interest of his own authenticity, for being maskless, was to fall outside of history.